Now, to further discuss this, let's bring in now the former Speaker of the House, Brahman Bishop, and Sky News host Caleb Bond. Welcome to you both. Brahman, this is so hypocritical from the Albanese government, isn't it, to deny entry for 3 years to an American Israeli, yet take no action against hate preachers?
Of course it is. But right from the first instance, when they took no action at all about what happened at the Opera House, right from that moment, they signalled that we're just not going to have anything to do with it, that it's somehow okay for this to go on. And it's got worse and worse. The university is taking over this mantra. And if you go back in history, 1933, Himmler and Goering knew they had to capture the youth. And they went first to the University of Frankfurt because they knew that was a liberal one, and if it fell over, the rest would fall over. That's exactly what happened. And so it became, you used the word fashionable, it became okay, it became appreciated. Yes, normalised. And that's what's happening in this country. And unless the government takes a strong stand, then it will continue to be normalised. And our country will be torn to shreds. It just is totally unacceptable to have this sort of build-up of what is so ugly, which is so destructive within our own land, to see it allowed to happen here because government simply will not take a stand. So hypocritical is a almost too kind a word.
I agree.
It is the personification of weakness, of determination to try and compromise in a situation where compromise is not welcome.
I just feel like every day when it's another matter like this, I feel despair. Caleb, I mean, how can this be the case? How can this be the country we're living in when Hillel Fuld is denied a visa?
Well, with no good reason, clearly. But social division seems to be a specialty of this federal government. As Bronwyn said, you know, right from the steps of the Opera House, nothing has been done. And you get to the point where you have this case now being run in the courts. And you know, I'll declare that I've never thought 18C should exist. But that is the only recourse that has now been available to do anything about this. I mean, when you've got someone preaching about killing Jews, I mean, surely that is incitement to violence, and they've never taken the opportunity to go after that. So it now has to be run through the civil courts. Both the state and federal governments, I think, have been lax on this. They've done very little to actually stem this issue. There's been no appetite from law enforcement to charge someone and run one of these cases. And I've always argued that you have to do it, even if the case fails in court. Run the criminal case and see how it goes, because if it fails, there will then be a mandate to do something about it. But no one's had the guts to do it.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Now, we've been speaking about Trump's illegal immigration, which is in the spotlight, but this fascinating story in the Financial Review today reports that 183 people on 10 boats have arrived since the start of the financial year. This is Home Affairs data, and they say it's on track to be the highest number of boats since 2013. I mean, Bronwyn, this is enormous. It should be a major issue, and it's not.
We need Ray Hadley back ringing the bell every time a boat arrives, because the Labor Party has tried to cloak itself in clothing that it doesn't belong to them. They're using language that doesn't belong to them. They said, "Oh yes, we've agreed with the coalition's policy or coalition government's policy, turn back the boats and the whole process that was put in place that stopped the boats." But then they started to dismantle it gently, so the people didn't notice. So whenever there's an election and they know that this government is weak, the smugglers know this government is weak on the question of boat arrivals, they then start to push the envelope again. And that's exactly what's happening. So it does need to be highlighted, because the more it's pushed under the carpet and not talked about every day, then it will increase.
And what I think's so worrying about this story, Caleb, in the Fin Review, is that they went to Tony Burke for comment and he wouldn't comment. So we actually don't know what precisely has happened to these boats, these illegal boat arrivals.
Well, precisely, and why would they want to tell us? Because we might actually learn something in that, and that would be bad. I mean, you have to wonder how much of this goes back to the NZYQ case as well, because if the government looks weak, people will try it on. We've had cases where people have made land, and the only way we've found out about it is because the local Aboriginal people have been flying drones about and gone, oh, hang on a minute, who are these people? Why are they there? And they've tipped off the authorities. I mean, who knows how many other people could have made land and we don't even know about them? They could be floating around somewhere in the country.
We don't even know if these boats have been turned back.
Well, exactly.
Though.
You send the message of weakness and people will give it a go. We'll talk about a story tonight on the late debate about the courts intervening in another one of these cases where the government have tried to deport them, but they did it 3 years after the offence. So the court said, well, get your act together. Time and again, the message is sent that we are weak when it comes to migration and law, so why wouldn't you have a go at getting it?
No, exactly. Look, I spoke before about how this issue is playing out in the United States with the violent riots in Los Angeles. Brahman, do you think Trump's actions in enforcing the law, I mean, it might be heavy-handed, we don't know the actual treatment by the ICE officers, but do you think this is fair enough, or do you think he's being too harsh here?
No, I don't think he's being too harsh, because I can well remember the chaos that occurred in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter riots that just spread right across the country.
Very similar.
And nothing was done to stop them. And he's, I think, taking to nip it in the bud. And in Los Angeles, you've got to expect it's going to happen there.
Yeah.
But by taking a strong stance and saying, no, it's not going to happen again, we're not going to have this behaviour again, I think that was sensible.
We just hope it doesn't escalate and that no one is actually killed. Just finally, reports tonight in the Sydney Morning Herald that ABC is planning to axe Q&A, the political TV show, on a Monday night. This comes a day after 10 scrapped the project. Caleb, is anyone going to miss Q&A?
Probably not. I mean, look, you know, again, it has to be said, as many said last night, that it's sad to see another current affairs program disappear from television, but Q&A is just not fit for purpose anymore. I mean, there was a time when it first started under Tony Jones's hosting where it was pulling a million viewers every episode, and it was a place for public debate about serious issues facing the country with people from a broad political spectrum. It's just become these days a love-in for lefties. People are not watching it because it's not actually debating the issues that matter to everyday Australians, so there's no purpose for it anymore.
No, indeed. I think a lot of those shows, well, most of the shows on the ABC are too biased, left-leaning, no diversity of views, and it's a big problem. Caleb Bond, Brahman Bishop, so great to have you both